Does one word matter? So up there you can see how to translate the first phrase from verse 41. Moved with compassion for his suffering, and being moved with pity and sympathy, incensed. Jesus felt sorry for the man, and having felt deep feelings of compassion, these last words made Jesus angry, moved with pity. And Jesus, having mercy on him, and Jesus moved with compassion, moved with indignation. Jesus became angry. Jesus was indignant. Jesus put his hand on him with loving pity, and Jesus had compassion on him. So those are the different ways it's translated with variations on pity, compassion, and anger. This one word. Does one word? Okay. Does one word make a difference? It's not working, is it?
Yeah.
So there's a translation issue in this passage. In verse 41, moved with pity is a translation choice that was made by an early scribe about this text. In fact, the majority of translations of this Greek text choose to see Jesus acting in compassion. Jesus' activity is a healing decision. And those scribes kept copying that word and copying it and copying it. The translators and the scribes liked this image of Jesus. When Jesus saw a person in need of healing, when Jesus saw a person begging, when Jesus saw someone pleading for healing, he is moved with compassion. His heart is turned to the one who cries for help, and he answers his cry. Jesus reached out and touched him and spoke words that would heal him. We like this image of Jesus. This is a comforting image of a man who embodies compassion, who is the love of God poured out in the world. We want Jesus to be kind, because we aren't always kind. We want Jesus to show compassion because sometimes we're full of contempt. We want Jesus to care because too often our hearts are hard. We want Jesus to act because often our fear holds us back, sends us scurrying away. But there's another translation of this verse, an earlier translation, that says Jesus' anger was kindled. Jesus was indignant. The 5th century CE Codex Bezae in the Greek expresses anger. Although there are versions that solve this problem of compassion or anger by just leaving it out, right? Some of them say he was moved. Being moved, Jesus. So instead of dealing with the question of how he was moved, that adjective, adverb that describes it, they just left it blank. Does that one word change everything? To the text, the meaning of the story, our understanding of who Jesus is? What kind of anger, indignation is being felt? Does it make him too human? To be angry, is he more like us? And we have to wonder, where is Jesus' anger directed? The first chapter of the Gospel of Mark is full of energy and life. Everything happens immediately, full steam ahead. Jesus is baptized. He goes out into the wilderness. He preaches for the first time, calls the disciples, enters into church for a Bible study, heals a man full of evil, goes to rest for the night where he encounters someone who needs healing, heals them. And the door begins to fill with others' need of healing. And so Jesus sneaks away in the night to spend time with God in prayer, only be chased down by Peter and the disciples, demanding that he come back to get those people at the door. And Jesus walks on through them off to the next town and village where people come wanting healing. We have Jesus and this leper who begs him, pleads with him, yells at him, "If you choose, you can make me well." So why is he indignant, angry? Did Jesus just have enough? Did his temper flare and he snapped at the man? And his statement of healing is one of those times when you said, "Fine." Has your mom ever said that to you? Fine. Or your husband or your wife? Fine. Even though you are seething inside. Or is the anger directed at the system? At the society that shows so little compassion? Is this anger at a people that have chosen winners and losers? And this man with leprosy is on the losing side, forced to beg to survive, separated from his family and community? Is he angry that when he looks around, he sees that they are not caring for the poor and the sick? Is he angry that they cared so little for each other that they left this man outside to survive? So even while angry at the world for bringing us to that moment, Jesus touches the man. He reaches out with his healing power and chooses to make him well. Does knowing that Jesus got angry at the oppressive forces of his day, at the injustice and lack of compassion from his society, change your view of who Jesus is? Does Jesus' anger help you to own your own righteous indignation at the forces at play in our society that still leave people out in the cold with health care just out of reach? Did you get angry this week as you heard about the cases before the Supreme Court, where they can decide whether if it's a medical emergency or not? They are going to decide whether women can be helped when it's an emergency. Whether it's okay to say nope, nope, you just have to go forward. Where they're making decision upon decision this year that chooses winners and losers. Winners and losers. People like this man that Jesus wanted to help. Does that make you angry? Want to do something? Does it make you angry when you see the reports on the news that we found out that our states have passed all these rules that say insurance companies aren't supposed to deny coverage for, and there's a list of things they're not allowed to deny coverage for. And then there's a story on the news about the man who has cancer, and the one treatment that would make him live, the only treatment for this type of cancer, is denied by the insurance company because it costs too much money. Now there's all sorts of things going on there, right? Why are the medicines allowed to charge that much money, especially when funded by our dollars to create the means to create the medicine? Why can an insurance company say, no, you can't have it because it costs too much, when it's the only thing available? And why do we have to fight for it when our states have passed laws that say you cannot deny coverage? Do those things make you angry? Does it make you angry that people can't afford their insulin and ration it? Does it make you angry that these inhalers that I used to buy for Reed when he was 5 and now he's 28 used to cost $10? And that wasn't even the copay. They just cost $10. And now they cost $100, and if you're lucky, you have copays. Does that make you angry? Does it make you angry that we have decided there are people who don't deserve to be part of the culture, who can be treated differently or poorly? I often want to embrace Jesus' anger. I want to get indignant at the forces of oppression. But that's the human part of me, right? Because the harder choice is compassion. Not pity, compassion. I want my heart open wide to the pain of the world, so I can't just walk by with a cloud of indifference to the pain right in front of me. So what would you choose if you were going to translate this passage? Would you choose anger as the word? Pity? Compassion? So I'm going to give you a moment to talk to your neighbor about which of those versions up there would you choose to translate this passage? Which one speaks to you? Which one is your image of who Jesus is? It's moved with pity in RSV. The one I read. Moved with pity. So what did you choose? Compassion? Because anger is hard, right? We want Jesus to be kind. We want Jesus to show the compassion that we don't always have, or be able to do something when we see someone hurting and can't. So I want to end with this poem I wrote about this passage. I do choose. He approached the healer, he begged him, he pleaded, he bowed down, he kneeled before him. The words he said, if you choose, you can make me clean. If you choose, if you see the pain, if you see how long I have been suffering, if you see that I can't be me, if you see that I want to be well, I want to be clean and able to join life, I want to participate in the community, I want to belong. If you choose, you can make me clean. Jesus saw him. Jesus was moved by him. Jesus saw what was missing in his life because of this illness. Jesus saw into his heart and moved. Jesus reaches out. Jesus touches this man who no one else will touch, who people walk by and avert their eyes, who has been cast out and cast aside. Jesus touched him and said, I do choose, be made clean. I do choose, be made well. Right away, before he could even breathe, the illness left him. He was made clean. He was brought back into community. He couldn't contain himself. He told everyone. He shared the news everywhere. He spoke the good news. He proclaimed the gospel far and wide. The word went out and spread. The word could not be contained or stopped. People began to seek Jesus out. People began to seek hope and healing. More and more people began to ask for healing, for help, for hope. And Jesus is moved, is always moved. Jesus wants people to be made well, to be made clean. If you choose, you can heal me.